Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Amanda. So glad to have you here. We are doing week 5 of The Artist's Way. So I'm just going to kind of tell you a little bit about what the chapter's about, sort of my own personal experience. Let me know what week you are on. If this is your first time joining us, you may want to go back and rewatch some of the other weeks we've done. And glad to have you here. Grab yourself a cup of tea, maybe light up a J, and let's get into it. So, Julia Cameron says for week 5, it's recovering a sense of possibility. So, I'm going to do some reading here. On her side note in the chapter of the book, this is the book, she says, this week you are being asked to examine your payoffs in remaining stuck. You will explore how you curtail your own possibilities by placing limits on the good that you can receive. You will examine the cost of settling for appearing good instead of being authentic. You may find yourself thinking about radical changes, no longer ruling out your growth by making others the cause of your constriction. So it's kind of the possibility, as well as what I understood this to be, is give yourself some grace, but also keep yourself accountable. So what interested me, I had to highlight this. This is the journal that goes along with the book. And I highlighted, and I have all these sticky notes. And I highlighted this part here. By this week, you may find yourself playing an emotional game of eeny, meeny, miny, moe as you toy with new possibilities. What does that mean? Maybe some of your thoughts have changed, your ideas of art or creativity or different music, or you're wanting to try different things, new things. It's in another way, Julia Cameron puts it, this is to remind you, Alice, so Alice in Wonderland, who ate the magic mushroom that changed her size. Some days you will feel very big, and other days you will feel quite small. So in other words, you are learning to balance what is possible now with what may be possible in the long run. And it's sort of like this exciting pull. And so just to let you know, I'm a little bit behind in my pages this week. And that's okay. I'm trying to not beat myself up for not always getting them done. If I don't get them all done, I get some of them done. I usually try to make up some of the days if I miss, then another day I will write more pages. So just some days I just am not in the mood. Just not in the mood. So I try to give myself some grace. But I do find myself now looking forward to doing the pages, and very much so excited to write my thoughts down. They seem to be becoming more and more creative every day. This was an interesting week. So I know it's all about possibilities. The very first day of this, I guess it was actually the last day of this week. During this week, we had a film day for The Artist's Way, our YouTube channel, Amanda Jane and Her Brain. So my daughter Jessica came over. She's my editor-in-chief, and get to meet her very soon. So I was boiling eggs, so a very ADHD moment. I had a timer on. I'm very careful with that. I know I have to have many reminders. And she came over, we sat down, we started talking, going over things. The timer went, and I was like, oh, that's okay. It'll be okay. I'll go in like a minute. Completely forgot. Till, I don't know what it was, about a half an hour or so. We hear a pop. Jessica's like, Mom, I think I smell something burning. Like, what? Oh my gosh, the eggs. Oh no.
Oh my God, it's so smoky in here. What did you do? ADHD moment. ADHD moment. God.
The house smelled like burnt eggs, like barf. So gross. So, yeah, so that is the result of, having a very ADHD moment. And also, even though it's the week of possibilities, I had another mishap happen where it was quite comical. Jessica had asked me to film some B-roll of me lighting my candles because that's just how I set the stage for me writing my morning pages. And I happened to light the candle in front of the back one, and then I burnt myself, and I just realized like I was filming and just just can't plan for that kind of stuff to happen. So it was an interesting day, but just getting all those mishaps out of the way, I live with that. It's just my ADHD brain. So, ugh. Anyways, moving right along. So another interesting thing this week is Julia Cameron also asked us to like ask for answers in the evening. So we can also do a little bit of journaling at night before we go to bed. So if we're having some questions or things that we're trying to work out, maybe some decisions we want to make, to ask for those answers in the evening, write them down, and then listen for them throughout the night. Maybe in your dreams, listen for those answers in the morning, um, which I thought was really interesting. So I did try that a couple times. It was quite eye opening. This is one way we listen is by writing our morning pages. At night, before we fall asleep, we can list areas in which we need guidance. In the morning, writing on these same topics, we find ourselves seeing previously unseen avenues of approach, which absolutely I agree. It's like we've had the answers, but we just hadn't figured them out yet. So you kind of look at them in a different view, and it's like the answers just sort of pop up, which is really cool. And then it talks about finding the river. For 4 weeks now, we've been excavating our consciousness, and we have seen how often we think negatively and fearfully, and how frightening it has been for us to begin to believe that there might be a right place for us. The morning pages is a flow of stream of consciousness, gradually loosens our hold on fixed opinions and short-sighted views. We see that our moods, views, and insights are transitory. We acquire a sense of movement, a current of change in our lives. Now, this current or the river is a flow of grace, moving us to our right livelihood, companions, or our destiny. So, even just having a little different outlook on things, like we start to build our confidence in the possibility of doing something different or viewing ourselves as different, by replacing like no way with maybe, we open the door to mystery and to magic. And this newly positive attitude is the beginning of trust. So we're starting to look for that silver lining in what appears to be adversity. Which is, I love this because I've believed in having those positive thoughts. There's always try to look for the silver lining or the lesson in any situation. So I really resonated with this chapter. She also talks about the virtual trap. Now, how I understood this is she says an artist must have some downtime, time to do nothing. Sometimes we feel like it's because we're stuck or we're lazy or we're blocked or we don't deserve to take the time. But for an artist, withdrawal is necessary, and without it, the artist in us feels angry and out of sorts. So we eventually become like cornered animals. She says, snarling at our family and friends to leave us alone and stop making unreasonable demands because we haven't really had the time to fill our cup and become creative. So an artist requires the upkeep of creative solitude. The artist requires the healing of time alone. So we shouldn't be feeling guilty about taking that time. Now, some of the experiences I had this past week myself, I took my tree down finally. Now, that date was January 17th, so I'm not sure exactly what date this is coming out yet or will be published. But um, I procrastinated a little bit. And so this chapter sort of has helped me get through some of my procrastination issues um, with that idea and understanding of the possibility that I don't have to be a procrastinator because it's sort of become part of my identity. I've allowed that. And so I put all the Christmas stuff away. It felt great. Got that all cleaned up, decluttered. Um, what else did I do? I started a project. I started some loom knitting. Now, since then, the dogs have actually chewed it, but that's a whole other thing. But I did start a new project. I was trying to start a dishcloth, and the girls got a hold of it and played a little tug of war. I worked on my painting of my truck, their little red truck. We went to karaoke. Oh my goodness, it was a very creative week actually. I sang 3 songs, and 2 of them were brand new. Felt like I had more confidence. It was also the week that we went out and went to karaoke with a friend of ours who is also a lead singer of a band, and she, just couldn't believe that we don't have our own band, and just really boosted my confidence and made me feel really good about my singing. So that was very cool. That was a very, very cool experience. Very interesting thing happened. I learned that I need to relax in my creative process. So I usually get very anxious about trying to complete a painting or a project that I've started, thinking that, you know, I'm creating a deadline for myself. Now, I'm not saying deadlines are bad. I also believe that a sense of urgency is something good, and I do need that to a degree. But when it comes to being creative, I was making myself anxious because I felt like I should be completed this, like comparison, right? See someone else complete an entire painting in one evening, and for me, it might take 3 weeks or it takes three nights. Um, so I became okay with that. I'm relaxing with that a bit more. That my creative process is not going to be the same as someone else's, and that's okay. So now I feel more relaxed and less anxious, which I believe helps with my creative process. So that was sort of a big breakthrough that happened this week. And just, I guess just a really big feeling of gratitude this week for my husband and the relationship that I have with him, and knowing that, I'm coming home from work and he runs me a bath and meets me at the door and brings my bags in and just has everything just set nice for me to transition when I get home from work. And just my heart is full this week, just feeling very grateful for all the wonderful things I do have going on in my life. And some of the fun tasks that Julia Cameron asks you to do this week are, you have to ask yourself some interesting questions. So, are you self destructive? Oof, that's a heavy one. She even says this is a very difficult question to answer. To begin with, it requires that we know something of our true self, and that is the very self that we have been systematically destroying. So, one quick way to ascertain the degree of drift, she says, is to ask yourself these questions, which I thought were really fun. But what would I try if it wasn't too crazy? Like, if it wasn't so crazy in your mind, what would you actually try? Like, would you try skydiving? Would you try?
Get your foot off of the thing. You're making the camera go like this.
Sorry. Sorry. So, would you try skydiving? Would you go scuba diving, belly dancing, Latin dancing? Would you get your poems published? Would you write that book, right? Would you buy a drum set? Would you bicycle through France? So these are some kind of really fun questions, So I kind of did my own list on the side of, some of the things that I Like, if it wasn't too crazy, what would I do, right? Um, I would own my own horse. It's one thing for sure. Own my own horse. Sounds crazy, but and it is crazy. But I would own my own horse. Now, if your list looks kind of exciting but even crazy, then you're on the right track, she says. So now then what are you going to do? You're going to sign up for scuba diving lessons? Are you going to take that Latin dancing class at the Y? So she just gets you to make that next step, which I thought was kind of fun. So then she also goes through the virtual trap quiz. So what does she mean by that? I was kind of a little like, what does she mean by that? Sorry about that. My girls are just barking. So, where were we? Oh, right. So it's called the virtual trap quiz. Like she in there here again, you're going to deep dive kind of into some of these questions. And the biggest lack in my life is blank. The greatest joy in my life is blank. My largest time commitment. As I play more, I work less, or I work more, or what, blank, right? So those are some really interesting questions that gets you thinking. And does your life serve you or only others? And are you self-destructive? Big question. Forbidden joys. It's an exercise. She says one of the favorite tricks of blocked creatives is saying no to ourselves. It is astonishing the number of small ways that we discover to be mean and miserly with ourselves. When I say this to my students, they often protest that this is not true, that they are very good to themselves, and then I ask them to do this exercise. List 10 things that you love and would love to do but are not allowed to. Like, you're not allowed to do them. Your list might look like this: go dancing, carry a sketchbook, roller skate, buy new cowboy boots. What are the things that you're not allowed to because of cost or whatever, right? You think you're too old, or you think you're too young, or don't have enough money. Streak your hair blonde, go on a vacation, take flying lessons, move to a bigger place, direct a play, take a life drawing class, go get a tattoo, right? Things like that. So that's kind of fun. And very often Julia Cameron says that the mere act of writing out your list of forbidden joys breaks down your barriers to doing them. And post your list somewhere highly visible so you get to see those. And then she gets you to do a wish list. So I wish, and you have like 18 wishes, and then an I most especially wish. She also suggests to start an image file. I guess it's kind of like you can draw them, or like a collage, like a vision board idea, or collect pictures of things that you desire and make you feel good. Put them somewhere where it's highly visible. Go through your imaginary lives again that you chose. I think that was done on that back through that a couple of times in the chapters. Pick one. Maybe they've changed now this far into your journey. Here's a really good one. If I were 20 and I had money, list 5 adventures again, add images to your file. So what would you do if you were 20 and you had money? And then you go back and you do, if I was 65 and I had money, what would I do? That was a fun exercise. I definitely did do that one. Did I do an artist date this week? Actually, I don't think I did. I think my artist date this week was just spending time creating and painting. I do have to work better on actually going out and doing some things, but to be honest, when it's cold and snowy, I just don't feel like going anywhere in the winter. But I do enjoy myself while I'm at home, and I find things to do that is nurturing to myself. So I feel that those are good artist dates. What else is one of the tasks too is 10 items I would like to own that I don't are. And then again, collect those images. Like just things that you would like to own. Future manifestations, I guess, visualizations. So that was my week 5. I'm just trying to see if there was anything else that kind of came out of this. another deep dive into, beautiful emotions, gratitude, possibility of what your future could be, your future self. Yeah, it was good. So let me know what week you're on. Leave some comments. I would love to hear your feedback of how things are going for you. And please do like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you again for week 6.